Hey guys, Youngblood with you for the 18th episode of The Inbox, where I answer all your questions. And we're starting off with a question from the Joker saying, I was just wondering whether one would be able to equip rocket pods like on the Delta on the Saber. I think they'd be effectively used in conjunction with the stealth systems. You could hide out when your target is vulnerable, pelt them with rockets, and then disappear. What are your thoughts? Yes, I think we're going to see additional weaponry available for additional ships. So right now, something like, the Super Hornet doesn't have rocket pods available. It's really only on the Delta. I think as far as them being available on the Saber, I don't think we're going to see that. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is that the weapons on the Saber actually retract back into the hull to help kind of maintain that stealth profile. And it kind of keeps the heat signatures tucked behind the hull. Now, there's a possibility that you might be able to put them where the missiles go, and then that kind of comes down, but the way the missiles look, to me, kind of indicates that they're actually embedded in the ship a little bit, since they have the doors that cover them. So my gut says that you're not going to be able to equip them on the Saber and use them effectively. Now, maybe you could replace them on the wingtips of something like the Hornet series, or maybe, on other ships, especially bigger ships. There's going to be available on more ships than just the Delta, but it's not going to be available on everything. But theoretically, yes. I mean, it would be a good option on a stealth ship, maybe like the Ghost. Zach Sod says, this question branches off regarding a previous question about piracy in your organization. If you don't want a company's reputation faltering due to illegal activities, would you contract out pirate work to do separate missions that has strong ties to your main organization? Possibly for running missions like taking out rival corporations and their cargo, or corporate espionage, etc. Benefiting PXP without the dirty work being on your hands. It's an interesting thought, and it's definitely something that we probably might consider, but, that's still one of those things that if there's a tie between a piracy organization and your organization, your in-game reputation may not change, but if people know about it, you still have a target on your back. So my gut right now says no, we probably wouldn't do that. That being said, we have had some players that are interested in piracy. And, for example, I created the second account, Blackblood, to actually be able to do piracy and not have the negative impact. So with that in mind, we may end up having a second organization that's kind of dedicated towards the illegal side of things. But I don't envision that second organization working with our main organization, just because that unofficial affiliation could still cause our main organization harm. Now, I think there's a lot of companies out there that would absolutely take advantage of that. I just can't say that PXP is going to do it, because I think those those kind of alliances can still be kind of dangerous for you. So it's a good idea in theory, but I think there's some things in practicality that could still be problematic. Barry Sherwood says, I'm not sure if I should go for a whole B or a whole C. I most likely will be working by myself, as for most of his people that he knows don't have a PC. The whole B is going to be pretty much one of your largest solo-capable cargo ships. Now, could you drive a whole C, solo? Yeah, you could, but it's not designed to be a solo-person ship, whereas the whole B absolutely is. The whole B also has one other very big benefit to it, and that's the ability to land planet-side. So while you're taking a significant amount of hit in the amount of cargo you can take, you could absolutely still make a lot of money using a whole B. The other alternative is, if you don't know real-life people that have a PC, join an organization. It doesn't have to be my organization. Join any organization, because playing with players is absolutely going to help you get more accomplished in-game. And you're going to have some allies and stuff that you can rely on. And then all of a sudden, when you're using your whole C, you can have other people help you out, whether that be crew members or whether that be, offloading your stuff to the planet side for you. I would absolutely consider an organization in your standpoint, but if you don't, I would go with the whole B over the whole C every day in your situation. James Good says, my question is, will you be able to use the Starfarer on any gas giant, or will it be limited to where you can go to fill the tanks? What you're looking for when you're scooping fuel is actually hydrogen. Most of the gas giants we hear about have hydrogen in them. And some are known to be specifically pure, some are supposed to be a little bit dirtier. But as long as the gas giant you're scooping on has hydrogen, you can do it. Now, I don't know enough about astronomy and all the details of gas giants. I mean, I'm sure there are gas giants that don't have any helium, and if that's in the game, then you wouldn't be able to scoop off of that. Well, I mean, I'm sure you could, but it wouldn't do you any good. The fuel is based on hydrogen. So Until we know what exactly the composition of these different gas giants are going to be, it's hard to say. Most of them you should be able to fill up your tanks on though. Joe's got more. It says, what do you think about balancing tactics like zoom and boom? My idea is power going. Sorry. Basically saying that you should end up sacrificing power to weapons if you're in cruise mode, so you're not overusing a tactic like boom and zoom. He hates the idea of cruise mode jousting. Okay, I think with this, there's going to be cruise mode jousting, especially smaller ships taking on bigger ships, because it's an easier target to hit while you're going fast. But you have to remember, your maneuverability when you're in cruise mode is significantly decreased. So if your target is a smaller target or a maneuverable target, and if they're in SCM mode and you're in cruise, you're not going to hit anything. So it's balanced in a way, because if you're attacking somebody who doesn't want to do cruise mode jousting, so let's say you hate doing it, so you're not going to, if you've got somebody that's cruising at you, stay in SCM mode and strafe around them. You can use your ability to keep your guns on target while they're trying to come in blazing fast. Now, they're obviously going to be out of there pretty quickly, so the amount of damage you're doing is fairly low, but the damage they should do to you should be almost none. So there are ways of balancing it, and I don't think it necessarily needs to be power related, though I wouldn't be surprised if there's some aspect like that ends up being put in the game. Chris Dressen says, love the videos, thank you. Recently learned about Star Citizen and spent the last week watching all the videos I can about it. Good. Question, with regards to the ships, do you see a time coming where the ships can be customized to allow for specializations within career paths? We already have some specialization through variants, and then also some specializations just based on ships in general. Like the new Misk Prospector that just got released today. It is a mining ship and only a mining ship. But if you're talking about something like a Freelancer, we see some of that already in variants. And variants give us a look into how you can customize ships. So you've got the base Freelancer, which is kind of a jack of all trades. Then you've got the Freelancer Dur, which is the exploration variant. And it comes with sensors and extended fuel tanks and stuff. Then you've got the Freelancer Max, which has additional engines and a larger hold in the back. Now that one's different because that's actually a different hull. So you're not going to be able to increase the hull size and the cargo space on your base Freelancer. But you kind of get the idea of some of those. The Cutlass series is an even better example. You've got the Cutlass Black, which is your jack of all trades, kind of hinted at being more piracy related, but it should be good for just about anything. You've got the Cutlass Red, which sacrifices cargo space for medical bays. You've got a tractor beam. You're going to be able to bring people into your ship that are kind of floating out in space. You've got the Cutlass Blue, which has holding cells instead. So those are kind of the things that you're going to be looking at to see how can I customize my ship. And you're going to be able to pick parts here and there. So, you may end up wanting a true jack of all trade ship. So you get a Cutlass Black, you add a few holding cells, you add a medical table, and you keep some cargo space. Those are the types of things that you'll be able to do in the game, and that's the type of specialization we'll see as we continue to move along development. Eric Yu says, will you bring back Captain's Log for Star Citizen? Maybe some small stuff for PS2. As far as Captain's Log, yes, I actually did one last week, I believe, on Automated Landing. I'm going to continue to start doing more and more of those, especially as we get more things in the game that we can really talk about, but I'll probably get back to doing some combat stuff. As far as some small stuff for PlanetSide 2, at this point, I can't say I'm going to do any more PlanetSide 2 videos. I still like the game, I just can't bring myself to play it anymore because I don't really like where it's at today. Every once in a blue moon, I log in, play for a little bit, and then jump off. I just don't have the passion to do it, and if I don't have the passion to play the game, it's really hard to make videos on it. Chris Beasley, can you use dual joystick to... but God, man, I'm struggling reading today. Can you use a dual joystick setup to fly? If so, are there any advantages or disadvantages to a HOTAS? Yeah, you absolutely can use a joystick to fly, or double joysticks to fly. And some of the best players out there actually use a dual joystick setup because having a joystick on the left-hand side gives you really good control, especially in something like decoupled mode, as far as strafing left, right, forward, backward, and then if you've got other controls you can use for up and down, it's a really good option. I don't know if it's a great option if you're not using decoupled mode. I don't use it. I've thought about trying it several times. I've got a second joystick I can plug in and use with my HOTAS joystick, and I probably will at some point, but for me, the HOTAS setup is just comfortable, and if you have the right HOTAS, like for me, I've got an X52 Pro, I've got the little 4-way hat switch, I think it's actually an 8-way switch, on my index finger of the throttle, and I use that for strafe, up, down, left, right, that kind of stuff. So ultimately, when I start talking about controls, it's all about what are you comfortable with, because that's what's going to make the difference. If you're a mouse and keyboard player, play with the mouse and keyboard and get comfortable. If you're a HOTAS player, play with it a lot and get comfortable. Regardless of your setup, that's going to be your best way to actually get comfortable with your controls. And then the difference from there is kind of negligible, because it's whatever you're comfortable and able with, especially since CIG is trying to balance all the different control schemes. And for today's last question, ZZ Staff, what do you think about the future of the Freelancer and its abilities? The side guns have recently been changed based on so many people whining about them being overpowered. Will the deep space version be worthwhile to someone that doesn't want to spend 12 hours a day searching? And what do you think about the options available for that ship? Also, Freelancer can land at areas larger ships cannot. How is that going to work in its favor? Alright, so Freelancer, it saw a decrease in the size of its weaponry, and I think that's probably justified. And the tarantulas that it has today are still very potent. As far as the flight mechanics of the ship, it could probably use a little bit of work. Like, it's not hauling any cargo right now, so it could probably stand to be a little bit more maneuverable and then have that decreased when you're carrying cargo. But I don't think it's necessarily in a bad place based on its role. As far as the deep space version, remember, what CIG always talks about is gameplay over reality. So if you want to do some exploration, you're not going to have to spend 12 hours a day to do exploration. Now, the longer you play, the more you're going to find, obviously, but there's still value there. And if you play a couple hours a day, you're still going to be able to find stuff. And then as far as what do I think about options available for that ship, I think the Freelancer Dur is just a little bit less versatile than the Freelancer base is. You have a lot that you can do with it, and it's a really safe ship for me to recommend to anybody. And then as far as the Freelancer landing at areas larger ships cannot, they go back and forth as far as the jump points go. I've heard it go, I'm not even sure where it stands today, but it's been able to go through the smallest jump points, but then it wasn't going to be able to. And now it is, and now it's not. So I don't know what the end result's going to be with that, but as far as landing, you're only going to be limited by the size of the pad. So, if you're talking about a small to medium-sized landing pad, then yeah, you could obviously land there, and a Constellation shouldn't. But ultimately, I don't think that's going to be a inclusive enough type of deal where it's going to really benefit or be a detriment. So I think either way you go. Bottom line, long story short, Freelancer's a really good ship, and I think it's in a good place, and I think it's going to continue to be kind of iconic in this game. So that's all the questions for today. Again, if you have them, get them in. I'm continuing to work through them. I'm about 6 or 7 episodes behind on questions, so again, it's going to be a delay for me getting to them, but I'll absolutely answer them. Otherwise, stay tuned for more content, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.